Good morning, all you happy people. Redcoat here. It's been a while since I posted or even recorded, and there's a reason for that, actually. I've been going hard in the paint for the creation of a card game that I've been working on for ooh, the last 2 years? Something longer than that, actually. The IP itself has been around, at least the IP itself, as we created it, has been around since, well, my high school days. So you could say that this was a long form project. But the actual card game itself, its inception, maybe like 4 years ago. But yeah, I've just been working on the base format of it for a while. But it was of interest. There was a point I was speaking with one of my colleagues, yes. I was speaking with one of my colleagues about the design of the game because I had shown them the basic mechanics, but I hadn't actually presented to them the a veneer of the game in particular. And what was of and it was interesting because I had been working not tirelessly, tiresomely. I'm not sure what the word would be for that. I had been working uh, for uh, pulling late nights and all that stuff to get the balance of the game correct. And by correct, I mean to the point where there's a number of different strategies embedded in the core play of it, such that when somebody goes in on it, when somebody actually gets hooked in, they stay in. It's basically giving the game a lot more legs. But that said, I mean, it doesn't matter if the veneer is not exciting or interesting. And incidentally, for this particular dealie, how would I put it? It's basically a combination of inspirations. Like there's the serial experiments lane, which I know that's a deep cut. I'm not sure if anybody's going to know what that is. Uh, Ghost in the Shell, the Battle Network series. Actually, that's a huge influence for this particular one. And elements of elements of many other sci-fi stories, but also in particular the idea of what would you call it, AGI, and just in general, artificial intelligence that is slowly but surely gaining its own sense of self. Now, overall, me personally, I think we're a long ways away from that, but it's interesting to explore that idea in the realm of a story and a game, which is what the project, the Sentu project, which is what I originally called it, was all about. And the actual name that it's going by now is Overclocked. Overclocking is basically the idea of just pushing your machine, your computer, to the max, and possibly making it overheat if you do it the wrong way. But the idea is that you have the CENTU, their server exploration and net transformation units. That's what CENTU stands for, and they are essentially the representatives of humans in the internet of the future. And the internet of the future is so egregiously complex that it requires a being that is native to it to actually really fully interact with it. And so that's where the Sentu come in. They interact with the internet or humans, or they just do things there autonomously. And so the card game is about a set of these Sentu that are actually in combat with each other for various reasons. The the actual story reasons behind that are a little bit more complicated. I might go into those aspects in a different video, but the basic idea was taking that and having these digital beings battle each other. Oh yes, and that was the other influence here. That was Tron. Tron was the other one of the other big influences for this IP and idea. So anyway, I am going to be going to Proto ATL to present this amongst other card games that I've had the pleasure of working on and helping clients out with. And so I don't know if you're gonna be there. Proto ATL, that's in Atlanta, Georgia, near at the Hilton near the Linux building, near the Linux the Linux Mall, which is fitting considering I like the Linux operating system better than the Windows operating system, and I'm doing a computer game thing. Anyway, the this card game is basically an expression of one of my key skills, which is I'm a game designer at heart, and specifically balance my ability to balance things and set it up such that there's cyclical incentives where doing this thing feeds that thing, which feeds the next thing, which feeds the next thing. The idea being that no action goes without preparing another action, even if that preparation is inadvertent. It's the idea of creating a sort of progressive strategy that players can engage with and discover as they go, where they might not even know that what they're doing creates a new functionality that they can work with, but they can discover it mid-game and mid-play. And so that's kind of the theory. That's kind of the theory behind the balance behind the game. And again, this idea of progressive creativity and progressive strategy, this is playing into that idea of the AIs that are in this game, this story. They are slowly but surely becoming sentient and actually accessing an element of the source of life. And that's just a little teaser. There's a whole bunch of other things that are going on in there, but that's a part of it. Ideally, you would start by just looking at the basic Sentu, the four paths of creation, alteration, deletion, and replication, or rather the four avatars of these, and the most basic Sentu template, which is just, well, standard Sentu. But if I get everything done in time, which we'll see, I'll have 4 decks to present and have people play against each other with. And we'll see how fun it is. I've had the pleasure of playtesting this at various bars and board game places, board game cafes. Shout out to the Java House and to the Obscura in Jacksonville. And even midway through development, at least the card game junkies really have expressed a lot of interest in it, and a number of people that were just really into board games liked it. So now that I'm closing in on, well, not closing in, I believe I have finalized most of the design for the base of it. I'm excited to see what will happen next when I present it at Proto ATL. The last time I was there, I presented a very early version of the game, and people were intrigued and excited by the mechanics, most particularly by the fact that originally this game was able to be played with 2 bicycle decks, and there was just a number of rules in there that made it so that it didn't play like any other game. However, that won't be the case when you see it at Proto ATL, or at least you can still bring a bicycle to a car race. It's just going to be a little bit interesting. It'll be a challenge, I'd say. At any rate, thank you for taking the time to watch me talk about this. And Lord willing, I'll be able to be posting more updates like these about just general work that I'm doing as a design consultant and general CEO ish kind of guy. So, with that said, thanks again. And this is Redcoat signing off. Play the games you want to play, boyos.